For centuries, politics in the Philippines have remained stagnant, ignorant of development and growth. We may have fancy terms of leadership and government now, totally different from what we used to call them centuries ago, but not a lot has changed.
Family dynasties had been a main feature in the Philippine politics for a very long time. A political dynasty is a family of politicians who serve in one place or country and are able to pass or extend government positions to kin for the purpose of expanding and maintaining its hold on power.
This socio-political phenomenon can actually be traced back to pre-colonial society, for the power structure of the communities of that period tended to build around blood relations. Community chiefs claimed their leadership position on the basis of their reputation as brave warriors and not a mere noble lineage. This organic social democratic agreement, however, was completely destroyed during the Spanish colonial period.
The tribal ruling class was utilized by the government. Those who embraced their new role became the first indigenous people to be Hispanized and were rewarded for their loyal virtue with wealth and limited authority. The Datu classes become the principals and the barangay simply evolved into a genetic affiliation in Dios.
This was a fundamental transformation because the principals functioned not as a community leader but as a servant of the town's parish priest and constabulary commanding officer. The underpinning social contract was now gone and the obligation to protect the community with it. More importantly, the power of the community to choose its own ruler was now lost and has found its way in the hands of a central authority. From a mandate to be earned, authority to govern the community has now become a commodity that can be bargained for.
Many from the Filipino ruling elite immediately and willingly collaborated with the Americans when the United States replaced Spain as the nation's colonial master, as this was the best way to preserve and expand their local power.
Their acceptance of the new colonizers' ideas of modernity and statehood proved to be the seed which grew to the political dynasties we see today.
According to Abinales, local elites competed for control over local power via elections and then extended their power beyond the province into the national arena with the aid of American patrons and allies. Alliances and loyalties that gain municipal elites access to national government largesse. This was the political mechanism which paved the way for Quezon, Osmeña, and Rojas to take full control of the nation in Malacañang. The very same method used by the others after them to ascend to power as well as for the 55 plus political families to keep their hold on their supposed elective offices for the past half-century. Indeed, the Americans brought with them democratic institutions that we enjoy and are proud of today. Sadly, they also brought with them the politics of patronage, the bedrock of modern-day political dynasties. Abinales summed it up perfectly. Decentralized patronage politics in the Philippines began in the late Spanish period and routinized in the American.
Some people may or may not like political dynasty in their country, but we'll talk about what are the pros and cons are with getting it. Pros number one, maintain a strong foundation. If a politician performance is good, then we can maintain the goodness through political dynasty. The first member of the family stands the foundation of a good record. Number two, reputation is definite. If a dynasty history is clean, there is a small assurance that the following generation will serve the country well. If the family is known for dirty works, the people could outvote the running member. Number three, well-informed politician. The running member of a dynasty has the advantage of knowing the vital information. They wouldn't have to study too hard since they've grown accustomed to the country's needs and preferences. Now, let's move forward with the cons. Number one, inequality of judgment. Due to the established name of the family, members of a political dynasty will automatically have boosts when it comes to voting. Number 2, misconduct of qualification. Even though one is not qualified for the position, they will have a tendency to win because of their family's name. Number 3, prolonged wrongdoings. When a political dynasty does dirty work, there is a big probability that it will pass on their family's next generation of politicians. This may result to the cycle of wrongdoings in the system. Number four, overlooks one's hard work. If you compare all the runners for a position, the member of a political dynasty will have an advantage. The others who were starting pure will have the tendency to be ignored, leading to all their hard work to get to that position to be overlooked. Number 5, abuse of power. It is evident in our country's streak of dynasty that the abuse of power is always present within families. The Filipinos deserve more than these oppressors. We need leaders who care for those people and not for their power. Number 6, nature of change is not ensured. Every human is different regardless to their blood. A good reputation will not ensure the following member of the dynasty will continue the history of competency, or if they'll break it and use it to their advantage. Number 7, and the last, limitation of access. As we've said earlier, this brings less access to the public service. The less privileged don't have much of an advantage as the member of political dynasties.
The country's colonial past has unraveled the loss of two extremely valuable indigenous political traditions. First, the fundamental belief that the rulers have the duty to exercise good leadership in order to keep their privileged position in the community. Second, the core principle that it is the community that holds the power to choose its ruler and no one else. This loses the critical because modern political dynasties actually sprung out from this void in political culture. And if this socio-political abyss is now deeply embedded in our people's genetic makeup, then clearly enacting a simple direct prohibition law against the political dynasties would never be enough. Indeed, our best weapon against political dynasty could be the ancient Bayanihan spirit of the pre-colonial times. We can use this power to implant in the minds of the public officials once more that the principal purpose of their office is to exercise good leadership, to instill in their heads that the constant reminder that those who wield political power only hold it in the trust for the people, and therefore they have to fulfill their obligations in order to keep their trust. This primordially community solidarity could be the rude awakening to this tourism. People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.